Right, good morning guys, welcome back to the channel. You're joining me today on a sunny but cold morning over in Notting Hill. Today we've come to sort our client out with some Wi-Fi upgrades and Control4 upgrades with the help of our friends over at Art Smart. So the client was experiencing poor Wi-Fi, dropping out all over the place. On quick look, they had very old access points, they were overheating, very low down on performance, and there was no roaming between access points. So we've gone in and we're looking to upgrade the router to the latest firmware, new switch, new access points, get it all configured up to optimize the wireless network in this home and get that running as sweet as it should be. Similarly with the Control4 system, it's quite a basic one. We've just got some video distribution here. So it's essentially 7 remote controls and a video matrix. So it's just bringing those up onto the latest operating system, some new controls because the old ones, the screens are dying and stuff like that. So pretty straightforward, but should change the user experience for the client. So if you follow me inside, I'll give you a quick lowdown. So as we come off the road, we actually come upstairs onto the ground floor. So here before was a big Wi-Fi dead spot. Over in that back corner is where the TV is, and the access point was underneath the TV. And the client uses their iPads and their devices at the other end of the property. So we've managed to find another network point, and we've put an access point here, and now we've got full coverage. So in this lounge space, we've got a Sonos Play Bar as our sort of audio endpoint. And we're able to control this with Control4 in conjunction with the TV. So if I go to watch and select a source, TV fires up and the sound comes out of the play bar. Now with the remote control, I can turn it up.
That's not what I want, Dad. You never let me do what I want.
And I can turn it down, all seamlessly from the Control4 remote. And yeah, as with anything, once you're finished, room off and it turns it all off. Right, so we're here at the rack in this property. I'm just going to run through some of the components that we've got here. So at the top here, we've got our Draytek router. This is existing in the property. The clients are thinking about moving in a few years' time, so we didn't want to do too much that was unnecessary. So although it's an end-of-life product, we've updated it to the latest firmware and changed some settings in there, keeping sort of like the Wi-Fi credentials the same. We've got a couple of patch panels here, which the infrastructure is patched into, and then we use patch leads out of those to connect up our individual devices. We've put in a new Draytek switch here. So the other Netgear switch was a lot smaller and didn't have enough power to sort of provide stable power for all of our devices. So here we've installed a new Draytek 24-port PoE switch. The previous Netgear switch just wasn't adequate in terms of the power capacity. So we've upgraded that there to supply us power for all of our PoE access points and our Control4 EA1 controllers. Moving down, we've got a PDU, which is a power distribution unit. There's several bits of hardware in here that require power. The client has got a ADT alarm, which has sort of got a connection direct into the router and a power supply here saying do not unplug. That's got its own router just up here, which we'll be leaving in. I don't want to touch any of those settings. And then moving down here, we've got client sources. So we've got 4 Virgin boxes, we've got 2 Apple TVs, a Control4 HC800, which is the main controller for the project, and then an I/O extender, because a lot of the, well, all of the devices here are controlled by IR. There's no IP drivers in here. We've got the 8x8 matrix here from Atlona, and then we've got some Rotel amplifiers down below because we've got some in-ceiling speakers here with some Sonos zone players. Now I'm pretty sure the client wants to update those zone players, but where it's not tied into the Control4 system is pretty much a plug and play upgrade and then binding into the new Sonos app. So the client's pretty techie, so I'm going to let him deal with that, and if he needs any support he can give us a call. But that's pretty much what we've got here. As you can see there, it's an absolute mess. So in a bit we will be tidying that up, putting some new cables in, and just sort of improving the look and the reliability of the system. So down here is the client's office, and previously we had the access point in this room, but over in here we was unable to get any Wi-Fi. It was always dropping out. So what we've managed to do is look at the infrastructure and pull a cable from the other side of the wall into this side to power up a Draytek access point, which we've just mounted here behind the TV. We've got a small bit of filling to do here afterwards. We thought we'd just test it to see what it's like behind the TV, in terms of there being some interference. But with it being so close in such a small room, we're getting really good performance in here. So we're gonna leave that as it is. So moving into this side of the lower ground floor, finished?
Yes.
Icro's all wrapped up in here. So with the construction of the property, we had a lot of interference with the metal within the building fabric, and I'm supposing there's some thick concrete down here somewhere as well. So previously we had the access point behind the TV with the Control4 controller behind the TV as well. We've extended the infrastructure and we've moved both points up here. So we've got the Draytek access point and the EA1 controller up here. So both points here previously were being used, and they were using one of the ports on the access point to provide network to the controller, and the controller was mains powered. We've got PoE powered controllers here. So we've kept one of the network points for the HD base T video distribution. The other point we've taken up to the Control4 controller through the in port, giving it its PoE. Then out of that, we're going into the Draytek access point, and we're powering that with a 12-volt power supply. So in this room, it's like a little games room. Previously, before, I'll try and get a shot of the previous condition, but under here was an absolute mess, and we had an access point which was really old and getting hot and overheating behind this TV. With the access point moved to the other side, we're still getting good signal here, and we've got one of the new SR260 remotes which we'll be placing in this room to control the video distribution on this TV. So over in this area, we're just at the back of the kitchen. We previously had an access point tucked in behind the TV. With this being a stud wall, we managed to fish the cable up, and we've now moved the access point to in the back of this cupboard. That will reduce the interference from the TV. With this TV as well, we've managed to tie in the motorized bracket. So we've got some custom buttons on the remote control, and with a push of the button, we can bring the TV out. So if you're watching back in the kitchen or dining area, you're able to see it. This also helps us service the TV, as we've got all the connections in here behind. And then once you're done, we can just bring it home until it's in position, and it's all done. Right, so I was having a bit of trouble with the Wi-Fi in this room. Every time we walked in, it was just dropping out and we couldn't work out why. We're moving the access point from room to room, and the problem is still recurring even when we bring a new access point that's known working elsewhere into here. Then we changed the SSID to something different to the rest of the house, and in this room it seemed to graft. So doing a bit of further investigation, we managed to find this down underneath the table. And thoughts are that this is also kicking out the same SSID They've obviously used it because I was having the Wi-Fi problems before, and we're hoping that that was causing interference issues between sort of our access points and that broadcasting Wi-Fi. So we've just disconnected that, and we've got the Draytek access point down there. So at the moment it's looking good, but fingers crossed that has solved the issue down here, because everywhere else is working beautifully other than this room. But whilst we're in here, I'll just show you Control4. So there's a new SR260 remote, and the benefit of having an EA1 behind this screen is obviously there's not much in this house, but in pressing the central Control4 button, at the moment there is something streaming on HDMI 1, so when the TV turns on, it's going to turn on to HDMI 1 anyway, and then it's commanded to turn on to HDMI 2 where the controller's plugged in, and you're met with the on-screen display. So yeah, with the on-screen display, if we had other elements installed in here, we may have security, so you'd be able to see your cameras, etc, etc. But if we go into watch, we're able to choose a source from here, and if we go back and we go into listen, we're able to jump onto sort of like tune-in radio. Once it loads up, we can choose a radio station. So if we go to local radio, we'll just play BBC Radio, for example, and we can start playing radio stations straight through the TV. Again, if we want to now just watch some TV, go to watch, select what we want, it will flip it back onto HDMI. The video matrix will change upstairs into what we want, and from here we can come in and we can control the centrally located Virgin TV box on all off on the TV, and that turns the room off. Okay, now we've finished with the access points, we're going to move on to tidying up this patch panel and switch behind me. So we've conducted a few roaming tests, so that's basically walking around the house and watching the phone jump from one access point to the next as we move around the property. So what we're looking for is, once we get too far away from an access point and another access point has verified that we're close to them, it will disconnect us from the one that's furthest away and reconnect us seamlessly to the closer access point. So sort of downstairs, we're in the office and we've got full bar. As we come out of the office and walk to the other end of the property, we can see the Wi-Fi bars drop down. As we get into the guest bedroom where the other access point is, you can literally just watch it jump back up to full bars as it's handed us off from one access point to another. So we've done that throughout the property from top to bottom, just to see that we can, freely walk around the house and stay covered. So now that's done and we're happy with that, we're going to power down the network, start removing some of these awful looking cables and get it all tidied up. So guys, that wraps up today's upgrade. Successful in terms of full blanket of Wi-Fi coverage from top to bottom, especially once we sorted out that problem in the office. The Control4 upgrade went well as well. We've done it in 2 stages, taking it from sort of 2.9 to 2.10.6, which is just getting the new bits of hardware installed and up to date. And then once they were all in and working fine on 2.10, we then done an OS3 upgrade, knowing that everything was going to work beautifully. So thanks again for watching. Do remember to like, share and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.